Hallo liebe Zuschauer und herzlich willkommen bei diesem
Hello dear viewers and welcome to this new movie. If you have seen my Photoshop beta movies in the past, you know there were many new features to try out in the beta version. All these things, they can now be found in the latest Photoshop version 25.0.0. So you can now use it in the normal version of Photoshop, and I'm going to use this movie to show you all these things, how they work now. It could be that you've seen all the movies. If you just didn't look at the beta version because you didn't use this beta version, then it's time to get to know all these new features. Yeah, just stick with it. Before we talk for a long time, we go directly to the monitor. Thumbs up if you like this film, and of course I look forward to a subscription. So see you right after my intro. Hello dear viewers, yes, today I am going over the new version of Photoshop version 25.0 and indeed on everything that has been newly added. Basically, these are all things that were already here in the beta version of Photoshop. They have been with us for a long time and they could be tested there, but there are viewers who don't want to use this beta version. Maybe you haven't even seen the movies I've already made. I want to tell you now, yes, these features which are now all added in this normal Photoshop version. Let's briefly explain. We're not going to make a big deal out of it now. We won't make a tutorial out of it, but we will just briefly touch on it. If you really want to go deep, have a look at this slide here. Watch the Photoshop beta films. Everything is explained a bit more precisely there. Okay, let's get started. Long story short, let's get started. I've opened a few images here. One is a dog, one's a reptile, one's a bumblebee. And then again this lemon picture, all pictures that I took the shot myself. Yes, and now I'd like to show you all the features. So let's get started right away. I want to address this context sensitive taskbar. Yes, it has been revised a bit to, if you can't see it down here, then go up here to window and then this context sensitive taskbar is down here. You can click on it once and then you'll have it, and this task meet which eases and works depending on which one you use. As we proceed with the tools in Photoshop, the whole story changes. Yes, I am going to go on this now. Yes, that doesn't change now, but if I go to the selection tool now and I'm drawing a frame here, what else can we essentially do here? We can either have the motif selected or we can remove the background. Either way, it comes out the same. Choose the motif, duration moment, and then we have this selection, and then I put a mask on the whole thing and now it looks like this. I can do the same by simply clicking on remove background. Bam, we got the same effect. Now I also put a mask on here and the background is gone. It now looks the same as if I had just done it this way. I'm returning to the protocol because I want to show you a brief photo montage like you can see here, for example. So mainly done with this context related taskbar like we're doing now. For example, we should be able to bring a vignette into this dog. Vignette is pretty hard to do here as we already have a black background. And then we can't darken the edge anymore, it would look prettier. But we would have to cut out the dog now to make such a light here, to bring in an effect. So, and now I am going to briefly show you how I would proceed with this context related task performance. First, I would make a copy of the background here, which we generally don't have to do at all, because this lock opens automatically or is gone when we look at the motif here. Go select. I need this copy now to make this montage right away. And now I want to isolate the dog here for a moment. I'm going to hide this now so we can see what we're doing here. I'm going to choose a motif and I'm applying a mask to this selection. So we have different functions here now. We can change the selection here. I don't want to do that now. We can reverse the selection. I don't want that either. I want to select the dog and the background. And I can create a mask here. I'm doing that now. Just as well I could fill the selection now, yes, wouldn't make sense here now. And I could create a new setting handle. But I also don't want this selection, not. What's new that we've gotten is when it bothers us that this taskbar always lays somewhere we don't want it to. We can now say here fix bar position. Normally it has always been the case that Photoshop has been opened for the first. Let me show you. I'm going to place the bar somewhere. Let's put it here. Then I can say, okay, I'm fixing it now. Click on it once, and if I make it big and small now, it really stays there. Otherwise it always moves with it. When we used to close Photoshop, this fixation always seemed to be lifted, but that's not the case anymore. Now this fixation is permanent. We're solving this here again. I can say now to reset performance positions, then you jump back to the middle and then move along here. Alright, this is new, but I want to make a selection now, so all I need to do is click on select down here. Boom, and I've got a cutout right here. So, and now we can say, okay, I'm going to blend in the lower level again. Then we see it again like this. As if nothing had happened here, because of course this black background is visible again. I click once on the lower level and press plus here. Then I've got an empty layer here, and I'm going to lay it over this gradient tool here. Yes, just a gradient at this noise level now. You can already see I have such a weird gradient here from green to black. I'll leave it like this for now. We can change it. We have this live progress now. It's also a new feature added at some point. If I'm here now, just one like this. You can already see me pulling up a gradient. You see I'm up here on this gradient. This is then this radial gradient. So, and already we have this gradient behind the dog. The only thing that is now a problem, that the mustache is simply gone. And we've also cut the fur relatively hard here. But we will change that with a click and everything is perfect. Okay, now we might get the idea. I want a different color here, not this arbitrary one. Then all I need to do here is double click and just pick a different color, and it looks like this. Yes, I could choose any color here, which I want, and I really like that it somehow fits the mouth. Press OK, and already I have this gradient. Yes, I could also click on the outer one. Then I could use a different color on the outside. I don't want that now, it stays like this. And as soon as I go down from this level, this gradient is no longer visible, this frame. Yes, and that's almost it. Yes, and now all that is missing here is this. Yes, these fine hairs here are missing now, they have just been cut off. I did not take great pains with the selection, we do not need it, because I just need to go to this gradient here and change the filling method. Now pay attention to these fine hairs, and I'm going to multiply negatively here, because done. And just like that, we have every fine master back, and we still have our history. So a quick and dirty photo montage. We have upgraded this image a bit quickly. I don't like this black anymore. I want like have a light effect in the background. Yes, and most of it I've now done with this context related task performance. Does. So let's move on to the next picture. I switch more to this picture, and on this picture I would now like to show you this context related. Now what's the correct term? Moment. I need to look it up myself. Generative extension. So that is now this new function, which as said before could be extensively tested in the beta version if one wanted to. I've made a movie about it as mentioned. I'm just going to show this briefly for those who just have this version of Photoshop and not the beta version. And if you really want a lot of information, just go to the films from the beta version. You can apply them here in the same way. But I still want to roughly show you what happens here. And when we go to this cropping tool, then we now have this context sensitive taskbar in the form that we have generative expansion here. But I can also use this masking tool normally now by clicking on the background here. And now I can, as before here, simply, yes, expand the image and then confirm, and then I've expanded these here now. However, I forgot to unlock the lock here beforehand. Yes, if we don't want it in this black, but we want transparency, I unlock the lock before and click once of the image. So what am I doing here now? I'll break this off. So what did I do wrong here? I click on the image. So there we have it. If I expand now, then we see that we have these transparencies here and no more this black in the background. It was simply because we didn't open the castle here. Okay. But now I want to show you briefly how you can use this generative extension For that, you first need to switch this tool up here to generative extension. As I said, this is new. Then you can now click into the image just like before, and suppose you just want a little more. You can see it in the picture. Yes, you usually can't change that, but for example, I might want to, what's that called on the animal? A paw? I think it's a paw. It's not that. Anyway, claw or whatever, I want to see a bit. Maybe it works. I can't tell you 100%. Here I want a bit more bacon, and maybe the tail should be visible here, and I want to expand upwards a bit so I have a slightly larger picture and can see a bit more around it. So that was it. You could even write something in here now, but I don't want to. Instead, I just want the Photoshop to, out of logic, invent something. I could say now I want to, no idea. Seeing more in the background doesn't make sense in this movie now. Yes, so you could really write your own text here, by the way, in any language, completely irrelevant. So 100 languages are available. It's not only possible in English anymore, but now also in German, as I said. So I could just go ahead and generate without writing anything here. Let's do that now. I click on it, then the whole thing takes a little while. And now Photoshop will hopefully, invent something logical here so we can expand the picture a bit. Let's see what it looks like later. Yes, and it doesn't look that bad at all. Now take a look at this. We actually have something back here. It has received a proper logical extension. We can see up here that the whole thing is a bit blurry because of the depth and sharpness. And we have the same thing here also. It's a bit normal. Yeah, you don't get such a good result here when you do that. Yeah, up here we already see a bit when we go into the noise. The resolution doesn't match the original image. So the problem is that we still, just like in the beta version, just so we can extend by 1,000 and a few squash times 1,000 a few squash pixels. Everything that goes over it will not in the full resolution, I would say converted or added, but depending on what we have in the picture, it will look relatively mushy, but it really worked well in this picture. Because we do have a natural blur here in the background, but we can see a little bit, if we are a bit nitpicky, we see that something was added here. That could definitely be corrected in various ways, maybe by adding a bit of noise in this area, but it should just be enough for me to show how it works. Suppose you had behind here maybe, or here in the lower area. If we want to see a bit of water, then we can try it out. Come on, let's do this now. Yes, I am even saying now I am going again and going to the Too-Fast tool. We are still there. And I'm expanding this down now. And now I'm going to give in that I want water down here now. Whatever water, I just put water in. I'm curious if it can't be logically calculated just by not writing anything in. But now I've told Photoshop that I want water there. So water is inserted, however, and now look at this. A reflection in the water. I totally love such reflections. And we can even click on a few alternatives down here. Let's take a look. I just forgot to say we can always do that. Take a look at a few more alternatives. Now look at this. It now looks like this. Branch lies in the water, and yes, that's it. About this tool, there is actually nothing more to say. I don't really want to dwell on it too long because I want to show you all the changes. So next picture. I arrived at a bumblebee that I once photographed on a blossom, and I just want to remove it now. Now it doesn't make sense in this picture because this is actually the main motif, but whatever, we just remove it. And I'm going to show you that right now. How the generative filling works. We always get them basically when we proceed as follows. This is the next update. I go into the selection tool here. I mean, I take the selection tool, could also take the lasso. I just need to generate a selection. And I'm just gonna draw a frame over the bumblebee now. So Zach. And now we have generative fill listed here in this context related taskbar. And that's it. Now I just want to remove this bumblebee. We don't need to do anything else here. I don't need to unlock the lock or create an empty layer or anything else. I just need to say generative feeling. So now I could write something here again. We'll do that right away. But now I just want to show how I would remove it. I go to generate without writing anything in, and then one should this bumblebee disappear. Let's see what happens. The whole thing takes a bit, of course, yes, but the result usually looks good. We have the generative here. What's written here? The generated images have been removed. Oh, I've popped back out again. Yeah, probably because Photoshop is doing something, has discovered something strange, so something dirty or whatever, pornographic something. Maybe it looks like a breast or something. So yeah, then if Photoshop doesn't participate, then it's blocked. Then we can't continue working there. Okay guys, we're just gonna try it again. I just click at the top of my log back to the beginning and I'm drawing a frame here again. Maybe I'll do it differently. I'll take the lasso and now somehow I'm drawing a frame here. I have no idea, maybe it just doesn't work because of this. So earlier I of course already tested it with the bumblebee to see if it's a great example. It worked immediately. I'm going to go back to generative filling now. And I go back to generate. Let's see if it works better now. Whether Photoshop detects something pornographic or forbidden, I have no idea. There, it's gone. Yes, now it has worked. Sometimes it does help to switch from this rectangle tool to the lasso. And in this way, makes a selection. So I'll take all this down from here now and we see the bumblebee disappeared. I'll go back to before like this. Perfectly disappeared. Now the top is a bit cut off. Let's see, we still have a few alternatives. Well, yes, you can live with it. It's up here on the edge too. Cut off, I'd say. That could fit. So if was an one. Suppose you don't just want to remove the bumblebee, but maybe you want to replace it with another animal, like a bee for whatever reason. Yes, that's nonsense. Then I'll also photograph a bee. But now it's about showing you this. Yes, then I just go back to the lasso in my selection here, go back to generative filling and just type in bee here. So now let's generate, let's see what happens. I am curious. Earlier some funny results came out, but also some sensible ones. And it looks creepy. Yes, there has now been invented a strange bee. We have a few alternatives here. That looks a bit better, but let's be honest. Yeah, okay, it's a little bit artificial, everything, the whole thing. I'll go to the next result. We can of course just say I want to generate here again. We always clicked here in our properties field, but we can also just as well click here now. Also directly in the context related taskbar, I just press it again, then the next three results come. Maybe they'll look a bit better than, in my opinion, it's still not quite perfect. Oh yes, that actually works, right? From a distance one could really recognize it as a real bee. Here it doesn't look so bad either. Okay, I think I'd rather photograph the bee directly in real life. Yeah, then at least I can say I photographed this myself. Well, but it's just supposed to be about the new features. Go in Photoshop as said. Okay, next we go to my lemon picture and we have this here. Get the remove tool, yes. As I said before, it was only in the beta, then also now added here in the Photoshop version. I mean, it's been a bit longer here actually. I'm not so sure. I don't think this is now with this updated it. I think it was already in there before. Honestly, I haven't tested it yet in the new version of Photoshop. So before, just now, very recently, I tested it to show it here in the film. And I must unfortunately tell you, it doesn't work so well on my computer. I also got an error message, which I clicked away so I don't get it again. Yes, that my operating system is simply outdated. That my computer is somehow outdated. I have no idea. So my computer is really ready to be replaced. That's why it doesn't work properly. I can show you. Maybe it works now after all for this. I'm just going to layer an empty layer over here. And now that I'm on this tool, I've just expressed, I say record on all levels. Very important so that work can actually be done on this empty level and the background is recognized. And then remove after each stroke means basically if I paint once and I let go, will immediately removes what I've painted. If I remove the check mark, then I can stop. At first nothing happens, and then I can paint a bit more, and then I just need to click the check mark so that this work is being done. So I'm removing the tick after each stroke, means I really need to do my work now. Carry out until the end, and usually is Photoshop now so far with this tool that's definitely new added. I actually just need once. So just go around it once. I don't really need to color in the whole candy here. It's automatically recognized. But first of all, it takes forever for me to retouch this little sugar cube here, and then it looks catastrophic again, I'm sure. And now look at this. Doesn't work for me. If you should also have this effect, I would be happy if you could tell me. Yes, right. Do you have that too? Maybe with the new computer too? I have no idea. I can't test it. I don't have a new computer. I would be very interested. I'm going to color this sugar cube completely now. Yes, it strangely worked for me earlier. Normally you don't need that anymore. So I'm waiting now to see if it works. Here I only have mistakes in here. This tool just doesn't work for me. No chance to work properly with it. I probably need a new computer for that, which I actually want to buy soon now. I'm waiting for a 27-inch iMac re-releases. No idea if that will happen again. There are actually no new 27-inch iMacs anymore. I would have to buy a 24-inch now. I have no idea what Apple was thinking, but that's another topic. These were the updates in Photoshop, in the regular version of Photoshop. Thumbs up if you found the movie helpful and if you liked it, and leave a subscription. See you in the next movie. See ya.